Hello, Anthony. How are you doing?
Porky, good evening. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. What you on with?
Oh, good. As I said to you earlier, I was out first thing this morning. I got my Porky fix. I saw you were talking to Andy, so I watched that this morning. I then went out. Life happened. I came back in and I started doing some research into a few things. And then I sent you the photo of Joe Parker and a certain doctor, and I thought, goodness. So after this, I'm going to do a bit more digging. So,
Uh, so Joe Parker basically he's friends with Dr. Husband. I'm just looking at the picture now.
yes.
He's advising everybody: Tyson Fury, Joe Parker, uh, Conor Ben. Who else?
Every man and their dog.
Hmm.
Here's something, Porky. A lot of people seem to think that, oh, I'm a fanboy of yours or whatever. Absolutely not. I want to put it out there that I do not know another boxing platform where you can get mouthy but concerned fans like me can come on and we can have our say.
Hmm.
Number one, and number two, if someone disagrees, they're allowed to come on. I don't know. You're not being a fool about it. You're not banning people, are you? If somebody's got something to
Everybody's
say,
welcome.
right. That's why I like it. Anyway,
Even Lauren Price's fans. You know Lauren Price. You know
yes.
who's refusing to do doping tests.
Have you seen her? Listen, she looks like a Hulk. I
Yeah.
looked at her and I thought, goodness me, I bet you she's got a set of balls bigger than mine.
Yeah,
It's
we have a
unbelievable.
friend types in every other day. He's a troll called Rupert, and
Right,
he emails me and he leaves comments, and but they get removed straight away. Don't buy a camera. And why he emails me, I don't know, but he's blocked on emails. But he was emailing, and he
right.
was very outspoken about testing and this and that. Well, this is how I look at it, right? If Joe Gallagher's asked for testing to show the sport's clean, isn't that a
Right.
good thing?
To me, it is.
But not according to Lauren Price's fanboy Rupert.
Well, here's my point with Rupert then, right?
Well, that's probably
It,
not,
it-
not even his real name, like, you know.
correct. Any fanboy, you know that they've lost the argument when they start playing the man, Porky,
Mm,
right? You've just got an opinion. If someone disagrees,
mm.
have a debate. In fact, I've got something that I think I disagree with you right now, we're going to talk about.
Yeah,
I'm very happy to have the debate with you live. We haven't prepared anything. You
yeah.
don't know what I'm going to say.
No, I
But the
don't.
point is, I'm very happy to listen to your point of view. And then, as boxing fans, let's discuss it out. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm not coming on Porky anymore because he disagrees with me. I don't want you
Okay,
to
okay
disagree
then.
with
But
me.
before we start, can I just ask you a question?
Sure.
Are you Ultra Tech?
No, I am not Ultra Tech. I reckon I'm about 15 years older than Ultra Tech.
But you're from the
Uh,
same area because you've got the same accent, haven't you?
Absolutely. I was born in the Mayday Hospital in Croydon, so, South London boy, right? But I
Yeah,
grew up in Red Hill and Reigate in Surrey. Okay.
yeah.
I've watched Ultra
Because you did
Tech.
well at school, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I was a bit of a clever boy. O levels, A levels. I then went off to university, and I've got a degree in chemistry, and I've worked for Big Pharma, but I am not Ultra Tech.
You
That's
worked
for
for who?
sure.
Big pharmacies, you mean, yeah?
Yeah, big. When I say big pharma, I mean GlaxoSmithKline, the big pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I worked there as an undergraduate chemist.
So you're not a
Just
cabbage. You're not a cabbage then, Anthony, are you? Obviously.
it depends what you mean by cabbage. Yeah, but no,
Well,
listen.
like Liam Cameron, a cabbage.
Yeah, well, Liam's just a raw working class man.
Have you heard how Liam Cameron pronounces the word bottle? He calls it buckle. Do you want to look
Right,
at the petrol station while I'm just filling Big Ron's car up, Liam? Yeah, get me a buckle, a pot,
right.
a buckle.
But yeah, by the way, Porky, I watched I think it was you and Kent last night,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you mentioned a podcast. So what I did last night is that I watched that podcast with him. Was it the guy English was he with? Was
Yeah,
it he did it
James
with?
English, yeah.
Oh, what a car crash that was. I tell you what, he's been through a lot.
Yeah, he had,
And
yeah. His stepdaughter got killed in a car run over it, and obviously he had the 4 year ban, didn't he, for cocaine and all that.
right, here's what I will say. Yes, like everybody else, like you, like me, he's made bad decisions in life. But I tell you what, I would love it if he would fill Ben
Oh, I
Whittaker
pray that
in.
he fills Ben Whittaker in, and
Oh,
Liam's got it in him, to fill him in.
I reckon he will. I reckon he will do. Right. Here's why I think so. I reckon Whittaker and Stevenson are feather duster boys. When they start going up levels, they can't keep the guy off them and they're going to get run over. And I reckon that Lee and Cameron, when you look at the fight, Cameron's laughing at him because he's not doing anything. He's not respecting his power. And he can't, in my opinion, when they fight again, he's going to put the pressure on, wear him down, and I reckon that he stops Whittaker. I'm
Oh,
hoping that anyway.
okay. You were
Oh, yes. So
saying
I
about
was saying,
Usman.
yes, well, I'll tell you what I wanted to do, Porky, where I think you and I might disagree,
Hmm.
right? And I'm going to put it out there and let's have the debate. Regarding drugs, here's what I think's going on with drugs. And I'll tell you why I think that.
Yeah, okay.
I think that most of them are at it. When I say most of them, over 70, 80%.
Yeah.
And you're going to say, Anthony, what's going on? Well, we've got drug testing. You then got to look and see, why do we have drug testing? I think we have drug testing so that it gives an illusion of a clean sport and it gives a narrative for the mainstream that this is what we do. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper and tell you why. Like every other sport, here's what I think is going on and why Turkey's putting his hundreds of millions into it. I think it's a business first. Secondly, it's an entertainment vehicle. And then thirdly, it's a sport, right? And if they can have men knocking nine bells of shit out of each other and they survive, that makes it more of a spectacle, right? It's entertainment, right?
Hmm.
And if drugs make that, then it's a good business decision, right? So that's what I think. And my perception is that the drug testing and everything there is there so that it doesn't get out. So if you've got low level fighters that are obviously juicing and don't pop, it's bad for the sport, right? So they have a veneer of respectability. My view is that once you get up to the higher echelons, the higher up you go, the less good it is for the top boy or the top boys to pop dirty.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of a different sport, right? As I said, I reckon I'm about 15 years older than Ultratech because in 1988, I was working at Glaxo. All right. Glaxo got a place in Ware in Hertfordshire. I think they still got the research site there. And in 1988, you and I know, Porky, because I'm a couple of years older than you. There was an Olympics in Seoul. Remember that?
Yeah. Roy Jones Olympics.
Right. Ben Johnson won the 100 meters in 9:79, slowing
978.
978, right? Slowing down with one hand in the air, and everybody went, wow. Then all of a sudden, 3 or 4 days later, he's popped dirty for stanozolol or whatever it is, right?
Stanazol.
Right. And then they gave the Olympic medal to whom? The
Carl
gold medal.
Lewis, who ran
Right.
9-9, didn't he, or something?
I can't remember what he ran. Anyway, Carl Lewis, who was second, had already popped dirty in the American trials for that Olympics. Now that's known and that's been admitted, right? So why would they then take the gold medal from Ben Johnson, where he's testing positive, and then give it to Carl Lewis as he's tested positive? Then thirdly, look at Linford Christie. He's then tested. Every single person in that race has tested positive. And I'll just illustrate it another way, right? Usain Bolt, one of my favorite athletes, he's running it now in 9.5. He runs 9.8, slowing down. Okay. When you look at the top 10 100-meter times, every single person on that list has popped dirty except for one. Who is that person? Usain Bolt. Right now, I love Usain, and I'm not saying that he's on drugs, but what I am saying is that if his times are true, surely he's proving that drugs don't work because he's going quicker than them without taking them.
Mm.
So my point is that it's not what we're sold. We're sold that all these people are nice and clean and they don't do this and they don't do that. Whereas my view is that there's a big grey area, but they don't explain that to the casual fans. What's your view on that, Porky? Do you think that's conspiratorial, or would you? My perception is it's not what you think.
I don't know really. Well, Linford Christie got upgraded to silver, didn't he, in '88 final, didn't he?
Correct, he did.
Calvin Smith got upgraded to bronze, and Carl Lewis got gold with 9.92. But
Correct.
Ben Johnson shaved zero point zero 0.04 off his world record, didn't he? But he slowed down, didn't he? The last 8 meters, apparently, didn't he? And put his hand up in air, like you said. Now, he obviously, that time then was shocking because nobody thought it were possible to get under 9.8, did they?
Correct. And the thing is that what it exposed was the politics, because all of a sudden, when you look to see how the Canadian Athletic Association threw him under a bus and this and that and the other, and it was just a political mess. Now, here's my point. Let's swap Ben Johnson and Carl Lewis around. If Carl Lewis had run 9.79 and Johnson was second, right?
Nobody
That
has
would be
said a word.
exactly. So it's not about a clean sport. What it is about a narrative to sell to the masses. That's my perception. And I think we see it in boxing as well, because I'm staggered that when I came back this evening and I sent you the picture, I couldn't believe it. I sort of started, well, here's what's piqued my interest, Porky. And again, as a scientist, I'm very analytical. Joseph Parker has put almost 20 pounds of weight on. And when you look at him, it isn't fat. He didn't walk in there like a blimp, like Bacoli, did he? That is muscle. And that is almost 9 kilos of muscle in a year. Now, here's my perception.
Linford
One is,
Christie tested dirty eventually, didn't he? Lewis did. All of
yeah,
them in that '88 final, except one tested dirty, didn't they? In end,
correct. The only person who's never tested dirty is Calvin Smith. You're
Calvin
quite right.
Smith, and he held world record for ages at altitude, didn't he?
Correct. 9.93, if I
9.3,
remember. Yeah.
9.93,
Yeah.
Colorado Springs.
See, Porky, we're sports junkies, aren't we? Come on,
We are, yeah,
you can't we can't have a conversation like this completely off the cuff unless we're sports junkies.
yeah. Okay, but getting back to that, I see where you're coming from. Carl Lewis, but Golden Boy though, won he in '84, wasn't he?
Correct. And the thing is with Ben Johnson, if you look, Ben Johnson wasn't charismatic. He actually had a stutter, right? So he wasn't good for huge sponsors to get behind him. And in my opinion, that's another reason why, all right, then we'll throw him under the bus and then we'll start doing all these things, right? Here's something else, because Carl Lewis was part of the Santa Monica Track Club. I don't know if you remember that,
Yeah.
right? And if you remember, he's got other training partners. There's a guy called Joe DeLoach who won the 200 meters. And there's also, not Dennis Mitchell. What's the other guy? Not Bruni Surin. I can't remember the name. It'll come to me. Anyway, when you look at the Santa Monica guys, they all had, as adult men, they all had braces on. And you'd think, what? You could always tell when you think, why do they have braces on? And what it is that when you take, in the early days in the 80s there, when you take human growth hormone, it made your teeth stick out. So they've all had to use braces. I tell you the name of the guy, because I'm sure people like Terry will remind me if he was on this call. It's Leroy Burrell.
Leroy Burrell, didn't he do well in '90s?
Yep, and he was a world record holder as well. But when you look at him, Carl
So what
Lewis, and
Dennis
all
Mitchell, wasn't
correct, and all those Santa Monica track guys, they all had goofy teeth. And in order to stop that human growth hormone pushing their teeth out in an overbite, what happens is that they're all wearing braces.
he? Like
And
Carl
that,
Lewis.
yeah, and that is from human growth hormone, use.
Is that why Arnold Schwarzenegger were goofy in the '70s?
Correct. And the thing is, the stuff that they were using then were very, very experimental because that's the first time when they really started putting it in. And he's had heart surgery because we all know that steroids, enlarge the heart and weaken it. And that's why he's had to have bypass operations and he's admitted steroid use. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Well,
anyway, getting back to
getting
get
back
sorry,
to Usman, yeah, go on. He's everybody's pal, isn't he?
he is everybody's pal, and apparently he's banned by the boxing board of no control, as you call it, right? Or he's certainly under investigation, correct?
Yeah.
So why would they allow somebody like Joe Parker to fight on the undercard of a very, very prestigious card, the joint main event, when he's associated with this guy? There's just too many double standards, and I was so emotionally involved when we spoke immediately afterwards. I've calmed down a bit now, but the outrage and the hypocrisy of it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, Porky. That's why I like your platform because you say it as it is,
Well, I'm
right?
not really
It's
bothered about any of these. When they see me, they look away because why would anybody want to get stuck into me for telling the truth?
Yeah, and not only that, Porky, I'll tell you something else because a lot of people said, "Oh, you're a Porky fanboy." No, I'm not. I've looked at other channels who you said to me are not your friends, and even they are giving you your flowers. I don't know if
Yeah, of
you've
course
seen
they
it,
are.
that they've said, listen, we keep it real here. And by the way, one of the other channels that does it, they say Porky Russ.
Yeah,
The
that's
difference
actually my
is
nickname.
we could come on here, but we can't go on their channel. I'm
Yeah, well,
just
they don't want me on their channel saying what I say because they'll all be in bits because they all want access, don't they? There's other channels similar viewership to mine that started right just after I did, but what they don't want to do is be as not critical because I go straight for jugulars, no messing about. I don't want to pussyfoot about. We're here to tell it straight, right? A lot of them they want to tell it like me, but they skirt around it because they all want access and they all want to be in the mix. Whereas I don't need to be mixed with any of these. I don't need to kiss anybody's ass to get access and get a few quid. What a lot of
right,
people forget is when boxing socials started,
right,
I were in a curry house with Dave Allen, Dennis Hobson, Chris Smedley, Liam Cameron, Terry Chappendama, Glenn McCrory, and I think another couple of other people. And the guy who owned it, Neil Kettleby, he owned a magazine in London at the time, and he said, "I want you to be working with Glenn McCrory and this other kid. I forgot his name now. A baldy-headed kid who were working there when it first started. I'm going to bounce you up and down the country. I'll give you a train pass, 500 quid a week, and blah blah blah." And I said, "Nah, that's not for me. That I ain't chasing up and down, kissing ass because I've been working for Dennis for a couple of years, and if I end up doing this, I won't be able to win with Dennis." And also, I know how boxing works now, and I would be asking all the wrong questions for your channel. And I knocked it back. And that's a true story. You can ask Dave Allen, Terry Chappendama, and Glenn McCrory. But Glenn McCrory had just been sacked from Sky. And Glenn said, "I'm going to take it." And he started, if you remember,
yeah, yeah, and
and he was very alcoholic, wasn't he? He didn't last
yeah,
it.
yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth because he was having alcohol problems and he's
Yeah, yeah.
all kinds of things. Well,
But that Neil Kettlebell wanted me to be like how now. And I said, if I'm going to do a channel, I'll start my own up. And 6 months later, I started my own up. Obviously, I'm not as big as boxing channel because my narrative's different to theirs. But when they started, Neil Kettleborough didn't want that narrative that they've got now. And I remember
right,
talking to him in car park, stood outside, he was his missus, and he had a Bentley. I'll never forget the registration. I think it were NCAT 666 or N666 CAT, something like that. It was a Bentley, and that's a true story. That so I was very flattered, but I weren't interested because I know boxing, and I knew I wouldn't be able to get away with my line of questioning that Neil were wanting me to push. And Glenn McCrory didn't push the questioning. Like he tried, but he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it because he knew more than everybody's pal. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And a lot of people since then have come into the sport and they've set channels up and they all want to start with these fancy questions and that. And what happens is they get too pally with them and they all get softened up, Anthony.
That's right. They get access and they get softened up. But also, Porky, the reason again is that you've got to look at how the masses are controlled. I said earlier in this conversation that it's a business first, right? Then it's entertainment, right? In order to run your business and create the entertainment, you need to have a narrative. Therefore, you need to have some kind of control of the media because it's the media that create the perceptions. And what you find is that if you have a media that only parrots what the business owners want, there's complete and 100% control. So what am I really saying? What I am saying, Porky, is this. Boxing will slide a lot quicker, right? And it will slide a lot further if channels like yours don't keep doing what you're doing. Because you have to have a check and a balance. Because when you're running a business, what you can do is you could do something and then see, oh, can we get away with it? Let's just take the Riyadh card we've just seen, right? I think that the Parker Bacoli fight was an absolute outrage, right? The reason it was an outrage is we are told, this is the narrative, Daniel Dubois is sick, we've got to withdraw him, and it's all about safety. Remember
Yeah.
the chairman of the Boxing Board of Control, oh, I can't tell you this, I can't tell you that, but we've withdrawn him because it's our job to make sure everybody's safe. They then got a guy which they would have known hasn't sparred since the previous August. He clearly is out of shape, right? What is he, 20, 30 pounds more than his last weight? I can't even remember what it is.
It was 22 and a half stone on the scales, and apparently he landed. I got it wrong. We Talk Sport said he landed Friday 3 a.m. It was Saturday 3 a.m. he landed.
Correct. But what has happened is that you've then taken him out of a jungle where he's had a turboprop plane to get him to somewhere where jets will go. And
Yeah,
then from that jet, he's then gone to Ethiopia. He's then
correct.
had a stopover in Ethiopia and he's gone to Dubai. He's then had another stopover in Dubai and then he's managed to get to Saudi. I actually saw the interview he did coming off the plane and he looked knackered. Right. I looked at it and I said, why is he doing an interview when he's just gone into Saudi after what, 9 to 12 hours of flying? It's an outrage, right? And then when you saw him hitting the pads and you saw him, he's 4 months pregnant, mate. Here's my point. There's an awful amount, exactly. There's an awful amount, Porky, of hypocrisy because you've withdrawn one guy on safety, and then what you've effectively done is taken a guy who hasn't been training, done no sparring, clearly overweight, right? And
Yeah,
then all of a sudden, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll do a two-parter with you. That's not a problem, Porky.
yeah, go on, yeah,
But yeah, so all of a sudden, right, you're going to put him in the ring? That's dangerous, right?
yeah,
I'll tell you one other thing, right? When I saw him when he got stopped, okay, and this will prove to you I am who I say I am. I When you saw the shot that Parker hit him with, it sort of grazed him, and then it looked like nothing happened, and then you got a delayed reaction, and it was as if somebody had whipped the canvas from under his feet, right? That is the reaction you normally get from a puncher. Now, I remember seeing a knockout like that live. And the knockout I'm talking about, which I'm sure you know who I'm going to go to, was the one and only Nazim Hamed
yeah.
in Cardiff when he beat Steve Robinson. I was at the fight. Again, I drove down. I used to be a broker in the city. and I drove down to the fight all along the M4. There's ages and ages and ages. And when he hit Robinson with that, it looked like he hadn't hit him. And then all of a sudden, Robinson's feet just went from under him. Now, why is that significant? Well, number one, that happens when the person on the receiving end of the KO is out of shape. And number two, it's only punchers that are normally able to do that. Nazim Hamid, I don't know what his KO ratio is, but it's very high. He's a
Yeah.
knockout artist, right? Parker, as a heavyweight, his knockout ratio is what, 60%? He's nothing special. So to me, every aspect of that fight stinks to high heaven. And my point is a simple one with your channel, Porky. If they can get away with it and there's no kickback and there's no noise about it online, they'll do it again and again and again. If there is traction with people like me and you and other fans discussing it, and they look at TalkSport and you see all the people saying, oh, I think there's something's going on, believe me, Turkey and his staff are looking and they gauge as to what they can get away with and what they can't. And in my opinion, right, you keep the sport as honest as it potentially could be. That's my view on it. I'm very happy to debate anybody on it, but it's not a fanboy position. I'm just stating facts. Due to the amount of money that's there, I don't think that you can absolutely get 100% transparency, right?
Yeah.
But
Nazim
you
Hamid, 86% KO.
Right. And he was able to do a knockout like that with Steve Robinson. And Steve Robinson at the time was going on a really nice run, isn't it? He had beat, did he beat Hodgkinson and all those guys on
Yeah,
the
but
way?
don't forget Naz was stepping up a weight as well.
Correct. And Naz played with him. I wasn't ringside, but I was a few rows back and I was right on the corner. I was actually on the corner where Robinson was when he finally done him. And Naz was playing with him, but that's because he's got power. And it's the first time we've seen Joseph Parker deliver that kind of power because he's been life and death with Chisora, he's been life and death with Dillian White, and we're not seeing him putting those guys on skates like that, are we? He knocks them down, but he's not putting them on skates.
All of a sudden, Joseph Parker's turned into a roadman from nowhere.
Correct. So there's so many different narratives. And I guarantee you, Porky, you are going to be the only channel with boxing sort of nerds digging and digging and digging that actually put it out there for people to have an opinion on. You know, simple as
Yeah.
that. As I said to you, as soon as I get off this podcast, I'm going to go and do some research into Joseph Parker and Dr. Usman because I don't know, whatever. I've seen the picture and I'm thinking, wow, that's interesting. The plot thickens.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Oh man, it's there. So yeah, anyway, that's my point on it. And as I said, I'm very happy to debate people on it. And I come to these points by just being analytical.
Yeah. Well, let's go. Let's finish off what the stuff what we were going to talk about from earlier, and then we'll go on to the juicy stuff on part two. Because I've just sent you
Right,
that bit of juice. Have you just seen that juicy little post that's come out by your turkey?
right. Whoever the winner is, we are working future to have him fight against Carl.
Right, we'll
Look,
so save it one for part two. But that is
yeah,
absolutely this guy's doing what he wants in a turkey.
correct. And what I
Uh,
said to you is
go
it's
on,
business and then it's entertainment, isn't it? That's what he's
yeah.
doing.
Yeah, I want to go through the purses with you from the other night and ask you what you
Sure.
think about them, Anthony. I'll read them out to you. Bivol 10 million, Better Beef 10 million. I ain't got a problem with that.
No, they've deserved their money. And as I said to you, I was in raptures when I saw that. That's such high level boxing. And do you know what I actually think they're going to do? I reckon that Turkey is going to do a third one. One, because it gives him leverage in terms of being able to talk directly with Putin. Putin was in Riyadh
Yeah.
around about the time of the fight. Don't have a problem at all with that. They both deserve it. They're very skilled operators. Thank you very much. Roll on the third fight.
Right. Parker 2 million for a non-title fight. but he were getting the same money as if he were fighting Dubois. So his team have negotiated well for him there.
Correct. And
Bacoli 600 grand. Derek Chisora was saying it were 3 million. He's talking out in his arse. Uh, Bacoli 600,000. He's turned up obviously a propeller plane, then three other planes. Uh, I'm not.
they've got Bacoli for cheap there. And what they've done,
Yeah,
if I
got him
could
out of the
interject,
way.
yeah, they've got him out of the way, number one, and they've done it cheaply because what they've done, Bacoli has got an aura about him, but he hasn't beat anyone. So what Turkey's done, in my opinion, that's quite cheap for getting him out of the way.
Yeah, and then we've got Stevenson 2.1 million. Padley 500,000. He's done well. Padley to say he's got a
I,
job in
I,
day.
I'd love that for Padley. I just wanted to
I'm
say to you,
buzzing for Padley. He's a Donny lad.
yes, one thing I didn't say in the last podcast where you had me on is that I was a bad taste in my mouth where you got Shakur Stevenson making fun, right, of Padley, right? What a toolbox, right? Here's my point. Every boxer is one good left hook away from oblivion, right? And Stevenson has got an attitude like that when he's a feather duster, man.
You
Put
know,
him in
Tank
there.
Davis had light him up.
Correct, right? And we're going to then see how his chin is tested. And the point about Padley is this: he's got a great team around him. I noticed that you said be careful who you go with now. He's got 500,000 out of that for a lightweight fighter. That's some excellent money and more. Good on him. Really pleased to see that.
Yeah, good luck to Josh Padley. Adames 1.2 million for a WBC middleweight champion. Marvin Hagler were getting 8 times that 30 years,
Yeah.
35 years ago.
Anyway, you've seen my profile picture appropriately changed.
Yeah, Marvin Hagler. Yeah, yeah. You love
The
Hagler, don't you?
the
Everybody loves
marvelous.
Hagler, don't they?
I all my jump rope techniques and everything was from studying the old VHS tapes and just watching him. And as I said to you, I've had one white collar fight, and the way I trained was as he trained. It took it real serious. And I just like the fact that it's him, the Petronelli brothers, they just turn up, no frills, we're going to war,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
like him.
Anyway, Adames, look, I actually said that Adames is, in my opinion, the most beatable champion they're going to get for Shiraz. Okay, he's not that special. He's a good champ. He's a very good boxer, not an outstanding champion. 1.2 million, I reckon. Given the robbery of that win, a lot more champions when Shiraz steps up again are going to be asking for a lot more money than that
Yeah.
because they know they're going to probably get jobbed on the cards.
Shearer's 800 grand. I mean, his best wins. Tyler Denny. He's got 800,000 pounds. I mean, that is absolutely shocking, isn't it? For eight
Correct.
hundred grand for a man of limited ability.
But not only that,
The Arab
he,
poster boy for Riyadh.
correct. What's he getting for that? I guarantee you that's not included in that 800 grand.
I know.
You
He's
know,
been
but yeah,
he gets loaded over. I mean, I heard a story today that Robert Smith has been staying in a suite bigger than that mining village I'm from.
I'm not surprised because what they're doing here is they're putting religion on there. And not only that, you've got the Asian Pakistani market, which is huge. So he's the new version of Amir Khan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. And what they've got is they've got that audience which they could go into with him. And they want that, right? It's a business, first of all. So what do you do with the business is you maximize every possible revenue stream. And promoting Hamza Shiraz is doing exactly that. I'm not surprised he's a Riyadh ambassador.
He's absolutely garbage, mate. I said it when he
It,
fought Bradley Skeet. He's been held together by glue since then and wrapped in cotton wool. And you know what? When Bricktop came out and he said it could have gone either way. Whenever has he had a fighter that's had a draw and he's not screamed blue murder? He went, well, it could
correct.
have gone either way. That means he got flogged.
Yeah. Listen, Bricktop knows his boxing, right? He knows what he's seeing, but he's a very good snake oil salesman, isn't he? And what
Well, he's
he's
going to
going to
have to
do,
keep keep Shiraz's name out there and keep him in with Turkey because he's probably buffer between Turkey and him.
Correct. That's exactly what's going on. And, as I said, they're maximizing revenue streams. And what they're going to do is, in my opinion, they'll drop him down a level and then bring him back. Because let's have it right. I scored that fight. I scored 1 round for Shiraz and one possible round. Let me be generous and give him 2 rounds, right? That's 10 rounds to Adames, and it was getting stronger and stronger as he goes along. And someone has it as just draw.
9 rounds apart. That Guido, whatever, the Italian judge, and the other one who get it 118, 110. 9 rounds apart. So what are they in watching?
Oh, can I use a porkyism here? All
Go
right.
ahead.
Whatever they're taking, I want some.
Yeah, whatever they're taking, I want some, and bring me some of them orange Rizzlers, the good ones.
Listen, it's obvious what we're seeing there. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a
Duck. Right. Zhang, 2.5 million. That's because he's got a whole country behind him and they buy all pay-per-views. Caballel 1.2 million, but yet Caballel's the undefeated higher ranked guy, and he got less than half of what Zhang did. Zhang got paid because of his country behind him, and they'll keep churning Zhang out till he's brown bread. You watch till he's on slab.
Yeah, as I said to you, the whole idea of this, it's a business first. So if they write off Zhang after his stoppage here, they've just shat on a potential revenue stream because and I know China's gonna tune in again when they resurrect him again. So no CEO of a business, right, gets paid for lowering the revenue that the company's bringing in. So
Yeah.
so you're absolutely correct.
What about this one? Boatsy 550, the giant mute, Callum Smith, 660. So if you add it all up, they were really underpaid. The two guys who got the least money were,
Went life and death and produced a barn burner.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Padley got the least money. He wouldn't go. I think he's a Steffi bullfighter. Then you've got, well, where was Steffi Bull? I didn't see him there. Then you've got Boatsi and Bacoli. They're Ben Shalom fighters. They didn't get paid well. Padley didn't get paid well, really. But coming from what his last purse was, he was probably not even getting 5 grand, so he'll be happy. And Smith didn't really get that much, so Eddie had a good do out that one. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? But look what the others got. Better Beav and Bivol, 10 million, and they're only one notch up from them. So really, it makes you
they got
wonder if there's any
underpaid.
money gone under the table with any promoters here, doesn't it? Because why is everybody getting millions and they're not?
Very good question, Porky. And what I wanted to say as well, my
I
last
mean,
point.
don't forget
Oh,
Golden Boy dealing with Adames. 1.2 million for Adames, WBC middleweight title. You know,
yeah,
a glamour division, a glamour belt. That the best glamour belt, actually, the middleweight and the heavyweight. But yeah, De La Hoya and Bernard Hopkins are negotiating on his behalf. I mean,
correct.
Bernard Hopkins wouldn't have fought for 1.2 million 30 years ago, would he?
No, you're absolutely correct. He wouldn't have done. Here's the other thing I wanted to say about that fight, because both fighters took a lot of damage. That's put miles on the clock for them, right? And I said in the last podcast that Boatsi's career has been weird. From what I've seen, because the big mute can whack, can't he? And he hit Boatsi, and Boatsi was eating those shots. So my point of view is that these managers know that their fighter isn't chinny. Why haven't they put him in there against Better Beeve, or why haven't they put him in there against Bivol? I reckon Bivol boxes his head off, but I reckon he goes the distance with Bivol because he's not a heavy puncher, right? And in my opinion, what you're seeing with Boatsi, again, he's been mismanaged because he will give the top boys in light heavyweight a very good fight and therefore earn money. And what you've seen now is what his level is. I don't think he's got another level because the two of us picked him to win, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
I've got no problem being wrong on it because I thought that he had another gear to go, and he doesn't, right? He's getting hit too easily, right? And he's eaten too many shots. And at light heavyweight, you can't do that because he's going to end up like what happened to John Conte,
Correct.
you know. So anyway, with